Hey everyone, so this video is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a long time, but it's going to get a little deep, it's going to get pretty abstract. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, a glass of water, tea, whatever your beverage of choice is, because we're going to talk about why you'll never run out of ideas. So when I was a kid, people would ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I would say, I'm not sure, but I think I want to do something creative. And people would reply, ooh, creative. Like I could never do something creative because I always run out of ideas. And this brings me to the first stereotype that people have about ideas is that it's like a finite resource, that it's a zero-sum game where things are going to run out. There's only so many ideas out there. And you don't want to let go of any of your ideas also because you think people are going to steal them. And once they're stolen, that's it. They're gone forever. Now, the second stereotype is that everything's been done before, that everything is recycled and that there's no such thing as a really unique or original thought. And when you take these two stereotypes at face value and kind of internalize them, it's not a very productive or positive way to approach creative work. And it's just not a very good foundation to start with if you want to have a creative career or you want to do something creative or just learn more about creativity and try to improve it as a skill or a muscle or a discipline within your mind. So for a long time, I was stuck at this point in my mind, my thoughts about ideas. And you're probably thinking, why do you even think about this? Like, is it even important? It has no relation to everyday life. For me, it's kind of like in my day-to-day work, if I do design work or any type of creative work, I'm always thinking, how do I come up with ideas? And are these ideas the best ideas I can have? Or could I push this a step further? So that's kind of the background of why I think about this stuff and why I try to advance my understanding of it. And so far throughout my life and my career, I've managed to get by. Like as projects come up or as I get work briefs or as I want to create stuff, I just think of things and so far it's turned out okay. And it was like this for a long time until the last couple of years where I started to come across some concepts that started to make me realize that actually, yes, there really is an infinite amount of ideas and you'll never ever run out of them. It's really hard to explain, but to really understand this, we got to go back to when I was in art school. So the degree I studied was digital media, and this was for all the people that like 3D animation, web design, the internet, special effects, and digital graphics, all that kind of stuff. So we were kind of set aside from the people that, are interested in fine art or sculpture or those types of things that are, I guess, more traditional, right? It was a 3-year degree, and for our first year, we actually spent a really long time doing a lot of art history. And this was something that a lot of us really didn't understand why we were doing it. We were kind of confused because we thought, hang on, we're the people that were supposed to be on the computers doing, cool special effects and cutting edge stuff like that. We're not supposed to be studying Picasso or, any of these artists from a long time ago. It made no sense to us. It didn't really feel relevant to our careers or like giving us practical skills. And we were more concerned about like the latest features in Photoshop or 3D Studio Max and less so about how an oil paint sits on a canvas or, any of the historical reasons for why, an artist did a certain thing. Now, naturally, as someone that held these views about art history, I didn't really have the most sophisticated understanding of art. So when I would go to an art gallery and see something on the wall, I would think to myself, what the hell does that mean? It's just so weird and it just makes no sense. And I think a lot of people feel this way when they go to an art gallery. And I feel like for some people, this might be really obvious, but for people like me back then, I think I really needed this explained to me step by step. So it's really, I guess the best way for me to explain this would be to use a real example. This is a really famous Picasso painting, and for those of you that do know art, you'll know it. But for those that don't, upon first glance, when you see it, you can't really tell what it's about. Like, of course, it looks a bit grotesque and might make you feel uncomfortable, but that's about it. But if you go closer and find out the name of the painting, which is Guernica, then you might get another hint as to what this painting is about. And if you know your geography, you'll know that it's a town in northern Spain. If you go a bit closer again and find out that it was painted in the year 1937, and if you know history at all, you'll know that the Nazis bombed this town in 1937, and now it might start to make more sense as to what this artwork is about. It's a response to the war and a response to atrocities, and I mean, that's not the point of what I'm trying to make, but the point I'm trying to say is that the context around the artwork is really important to helping you understand what it's about. And this is not a super sophisticated concept. I know everyone understands what context is, but I think there's a better word that really encapsulates what I'm trying to get at, and it's a German word called the Zeitgeist. So according to Google, the dictionary definition of the Zeitgeist is the defining spirit or mood of a particular period of history as shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time. See, when I was doing art history, I thought it was about the artworks being discussed, but the key to art history is actually about the context around those artworks. It's not so much about like the techniques or the mediums that made these artworks super famous. It was about the society and world around them and how they informed what was being created. And the reason they were teaching us this is because they knew that one day when we would be out in the world designing things or creating things, we too would be informed by the zeitgeist of our time. Now I know all of this can seem pretty abstract, and giving an example from 1937 can seem like a lifetime ago and really hard to grasp. So let's look at the zeitgeist now. What is in the conversation? What is the spirit or mood of today? Anywhere you go in society, you'll know what the conversation is. There are certain topics and subjects that constantly come up, and I guess the most direct manifestation of the conversation would be the news. If you go to any news website, you'll notice common themes constantly popping up. Some examples might be COVID-19 or the war in Ukraine, or also climate change. The zeitgeist doesn't just have to be events, it can also be themes or ideas, and certain themes that are always popping up might be gender equality, sexism, racism, privilege. There are all kinds of topics and themes that are very on mind and top of conversation for society today. But the news isn't the only place the conversation is happening. You'll be able to find it on things like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube comments, forums, and also in real life, like in cafes, and then also at the dinner table, just with conversations with your coworkers and friends, it's everywhere. Now, all of this can seem pretty abstract, and you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with ideas? Well, going back to our original stereotype about ideas being a finite resource, like in my mind, I used to think of it as almost like a glass of water that was constantly running out. But now, after thinking through things, I kind of realize it's more like pieces of string. Imagine the zeitgeist as multiple threads in an infinite timeline. Each thread represents a different topic, theme, or conversation. Each time you create something, it exists and is influenced and shaped by that point in the timeline. The zeitgeist is humanity and culture. It's constantly evolving, and as long as this happens, there will always be fuel for you to create new art. This is why you'll never run out of ideas. Hey guys, so it's been a couple of days since I shot that video and I'm editing it right now, but I just wanted to say thank you for getting all the way to the end. I know it was pretty conceptual and, in the clouds, but I did want to add that, with ideas, I know it's not that simple. It's not just as simple as saying society is your source. Ideas can get a lot more complex than that. And I was considering doing like a tutorial where I break down a concept and how to use the zeitgeist to try to supercharge the idea. But the video is getting too long, so let me know if this is something you're interested in. Maybe I'll do it in a future video. The other thing I wanted to say is that ideas don't always have to be so complicated. Like, they don't have to be about culture or society or issues. Just draw or create things that make you happy, things that make you inspired. Sometimes it's just a spark from a random thing that will make you want to do something or create something. And I think that's the most important thing, that you're always enjoying the things that you create. And it doesn't really matter so much about being the most innovative or the most creative. Just do what makes you happy and enjoy the craft. Me personally, I do the same thing. I just draw things that I think are interesting or exciting to me. And I mean, sometimes it's as simple as just wanting to capture the essence of something or a feeling or, a vibe. So if that's something that you also do, maybe check out my video, What Bruce Lee Taught Me About Making Art. I feel like that's a video I'm really proud of, and I think the lesson there is super important for people that are doing artworks that are based on a feeling or an essence or a vibe. If you like the painting at the end of this video, please go check out my store, jaywalkerpictures.com. There you'll be able to pick up a print and also digital wallpapers of that artwork. Also, if you want to get a look into how I created it, please check out my Instagram, where sometimes I'll post stories with work in progress and stuff like that. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.